Hi, welcome to lesson 17, session 5. This is the final session with dividing decimals for now. And this session is the session that takes everything that we've learned over the last 4 to 5 days, and it kind of wraps it all up and helps us to go through and take everything that we've learned and put it all into practice so we can figure out how in the world we're supposed to be dividing all of these decimals. So today I'm just going to go over each of the problems on pages 369 through page 372 in your Ready Classroom Math Workbook. I won't be doing the problems with you, but I will be showing you and talking about how to solve the problems and helping you make sense of each of the problems that you will be doing. But you will be doing the work on your own. If you have any questions as you're going along, you can always email your teacher. Otherwise, let's get going. So I am on page 369 in your Ready Classroom Math Workbook, and this is the refined session called Dividing Decimals. So we're looking at number 1. So number 1 says, what number multiplied by 8 will give you a product of 9 and 6/10? So it says to write an equation and then solve it. So what I did for you is I helped you by starting out with this equation. So remember, n is the unknown number. So that is when it says what number, that is what n is. So what number multiplied, that means we're multiplying, by 8 will give us a product or an answer of 9 and 6/10. So what number times 8 equals 9 and 6/10? That can be rewritten as a division problem. 9 and 6/10 divided by 8 equals what number? What I want you to do is change 9 and 6/10 into tenths. And then you're going to divide that number by 8 to get your total number of tenths. Now remember, that will, if we're going to write our solution as a decimal. So this tenths, so whatever tenths you have here, write that same number here, and then that tenths, go ahead and write it as a decimal here. Remember that your answer is going to need to be a decimal, not just a number, because that number really means tenths. So you're going to need to have a decimal as your answer. Number 2 says this. The length of a screw is 75 hundredths of a centimeter. How many screws can be placed end to end to make a row that is 18 centimeters long? Show your work. So you have 18 centimeters long, and you're going to divide it by the length of one screw. So change 18 into hundredths. Now remember, 18 holes, that's the same as having 18 of these. And how many hundredths are in one hole? 100. So if you had 18 of these that have 100 in each, how many hundredths would you have? Then 75 hundredths is equal to how many hundredths? Then you're going to divide the number of hundredths, starting with 18, by 75 hundredths, and use your multiples of 10 chart, this one here, which I didn't erase yet. Use your multiples of 10 chart to find your partial quotients to go ahead and fill out what is the answer here. For number 3, it says, what is 6 and 5/10 divided by 5/10? Go ahead and change both of them into tenths, and then do the math and find your answer. Now, Gwen chose A as her correct answer. How did she get that answer? And I will tell you that Gwen is not right. So see what you think she did to get that answer. But your answer is going to not be A. Number 4, Jordan has $3.80 to spend at the used bookstore. Each book costs 95 cents. What is the greatest number of books Jordan can buy? So you're going to go ahead and you are going to first take both of those decimals and turn them into hundredths. And then you're going to find out how many times 95, well, I don't want to say it, I'm giving you the answer. How many times that 95 cents goes into $3.80. You're going to find your answer and then choose your answer from here. And remember, what is the greatest number of books? What is the most number of books Jordan can buy? Number 5 says this. Keith bought 3 4/10 of a pound of peanuts on Monday. 2.5 pounds on Tuesday, and 4 pounds on Wednesday. He's going to divide the peanuts equally between himself and 2 friends. So 3 people total, because there's Keith and his 2 friends. So 3 people total. How many pounds of peanuts will each friend get? So the first step is you need to figure out how many pounds of peanuts you have. So you need to add up all those pounds of peanuts. Then you need to divide those peanuts amongst the 3 friends. But remember that you're going to get a decimal here. You need to change that decimal into it's going to be a tenth. It's going to be in tenths. So you need to change both of these numbers. So actually, this is not right. I want to skip. I don't want you to. Well, that might be right, but I want you to think about this as, well, I'm going to help you. So let's go ahead and add these all together. So we have 4 plus 5 is 9. And then 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. So we have 9 and 9/10. So if we have 9 and 9/10, actually this was right. We're going to leave it as 3. We're going to change this to how many tenths? It's going to be 99 tenths. So now we're going to put this 99 tenths here. You're going to find out how many times 3 goes into 99. You're going to use your partial quotient method. But remember, the answer that you get is going to be in tenths. And then you're going to need to make sure your answer is a decimal in, your answer is going to be in tenths. So just remember that your answer needs to be in tenths. All right. Number 6 says, if you put 7/10 in a box for each equation, is the equation true? So I went ahead and wrote 7/10 into each of the boxes. You need to go through and do the math and figure out if the equation is true. So when you multiply 7/10 times 5 and 2/10, does it equal 36 and 4/10? So if you have a number less than 1 and you multiply it times 5 and 2/10, are you going to get a number as great as 36 and 4/10? No, you're not. So your answer here would be no. I want you to go ahead and do the other 3 yourself, choosing yes if the equation is true and no if the equation is not true. For number 7, you've got a 100th grid here. It says Jamie has 5 jars to fill with beads for a carnival game. She has 7.5 bags of multicolored beads. Jamie wants to put an equal amount of beads in each jar. How many bags of beads can she put into each jar? Use the decimal grid to solve the problem. Explain your situation. So we know she has 5 jars to fill. Okay, so the important information is she has 5 jars to fill and she has 7.5 bags of multicolored beads. So you need to figure out how many. You need to take 7.5 bags and split it into 5 groups and figure out how many go into each group. So you're going to go, what is 7.5 divided by 5? It equals n. So 5 times what equals 7 and 5/10? So you're going to figure that out. So you're going to shade it all in and then break it into 5 equal parts. Then, don't shade it all in, but you're going to need to shade in 7 and 5/10 worth. Then you're going to use multiplication to check your answer. So make sure that whatever answer you get, that when you multiply it times 5, you get 7 and 5/10. And you'll do that down here in part B. Finally, for number 8, it says a sticker is 1 2/10 of a centimeter wide. How many stickers will fit edge to edge on a strip of paper that is 108 centimeters long? Explain your thinking. So go ahead and change both of your answers into tenths. So remember this right now, 100, this is a tenth, okay? And so how many tenths are in 1 whole? So if you had 1 whole, how many of these tenths would fit? Remember, 10 of these fit in 1 whole. So if 10 tenths fit in 1 whole, how many tenths fit in 108 holes? Then how many tenths are in 1 2/10? Once you figure out your tenths, then you're just going to divide the number of tenths by the number of tenths here and get your final answer. If you have any questions, you can always email your teacher. Otherwise, I will see you next time when we will, well, first we're going to do a mid-unit assessment that just is going to remind you all about how to multiply and divide with decimals. After you're done with that, we're moving into fractions. So I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys to start working with fractions with division and multiplication with fractions. So far, we've only added and subtracted. Now we get to multiply and divide fractions. So with that, I will see you next time.